All right. Welcome to the show. This is Devon Johnson with the Showtime Forum Postgame Report. The Lakers win tonight, 125-120. Very, very close game that really shouldn't have been close in the end. And the Lakers pulled it out once again. Very reminiscent of earlier on in the year when we were winning games, but we were winning them so close against teams that we should have blown out. It felt very, very vintage 2019 Lakers. Tonight, but the Lakers did pull out the win, and that's the most important thing, improving to, I believe, 39-12. And once again, just issues all across the board. Had some wonderful points, some wonderful moments, but had just horrible moments as well tonight. It really shouldn't have been as close as it was. Lakers led by as much as 20 at one point and end up winning the game within 5, and it required LeBron and AD to play above 30 minutes, which once again, this is one of those games that we were trying to keep ourselves from having to have LeBron and AD do. And it seemed like in the beginning it wasn't going to be necessary. Avery Bradley was doing his thing tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But it's almost as if the Lakers have lost their momentum that they had earlier on in the season. The mojo doesn't seem to be there. Even the celebration seems subpar. It just feels like the team is losing itself. And it tends to happen right around now. The All-Star break is coming up, so we're probably going to see them come back with some fresh energy after that. But you can tell the season it's taking its toll, especially on LeBron James, who is in his 17th season. Of course, tonight he also had another milestone as he passed, I believe became number 10 on the list for most three-pointers made. I can't remember who he passed, but he ended up breaking another record tonight because apparently that's what he does. And so we want to congratulate him for that, but also we're going to talk a little bit about LeBron James, what happened in the game today, how many turnovers he had, as well as how efficient he was with his assisting, and just the overall outlook of the team going forward. And I think we need to start with Avery Bradley. I believe Avery Bradley tonight showed that he overall has come out of his slump. He has made a difference in this game. He's made a difference on this team. He has essentially done exactly what KCP did earlier on this year. As you guys know, Caldwell Pope had a horrible slump. He was not shooting he wasn't shooting well. His confidence was at an all-time low, and something happened. Something caused him to break out of that funk. He came into the starting lineup when Avery Bradley got hurt, and it was a resurgence. He became a brand new person, and we essentially had to credit a lot of our wins during that stretch of Avery Bradley being out to KCP, not only his offensive prowess, but also his defensive abilities as well. Well, Avery Bradley has come back. He's gotten acclimated. He's gotten his legs back underneath him after that long stint of injury, and now he seems to have found himself. He's aggressive. In fact, tonight it really felt like he was the only one that was really aggressive the entire game. Every time he was in, he played 30 minutes tonight, which is really abnormal for AB. But he was necessary tonight. Tonight he went 5 of 7 from three-point land, and he was 7-11 from the field goal from the floor. And so that's what you want. He was much more of a third scorer to LeBron and AD. In fact, there was majority of the game he was leading. He was our leading scorer. But he was much more that third scorer that we've been talking about that we need. The issue is that he's also in the starting lineup with AD and LeBron, which really leads us to the next piece, is talking about our bench. Our bench was it was just subpar tonight, and it's really no fault really to anybody in particular. It's just overall, it just seems like the bench suffers when LeBron is not in. In fact, I would say the entire team suffers when LeBron is not in. But they pulled it out. And it's against a team that they really should have blown out. But let's look at what happened tonight. Kyle Kuzma was much better tonight. Shot 4 of 8. He didn't shoot any threes, which is telling for him, which means he was looking for the inside shot. He had plenty of times where he was at the three-point line, and the traditional Kuzma would have shot that even with a defender in his face. but he made the adjustment. He made some passes tonight. In fact, he had 6 assists tonight, which we all know is the antithesis of Kuzma. But I'll take it. I'll take it. He only had 2 rebounds tonight, but had 6 assists and contributed 12 points with 4 of 4 from the free throw line. And Rondo and Howard and pretty much everybody contributed in a certain way, but they just weren't efficient with their scoring. Dwight Howard was good, 5 of 7. He did his normal thing, had 8 rebounds, 12 points. That's what we're coming to know from JaVale and from Dwight. That's generally where they're going to average out, anywhere between 8 and 12 points and between 8 and 10 or 8 and 11 rebounds. And that's exactly what we need from them, especially at the price point of their contract. But when you talk about a Kuzma and you talk about a Rondo, what you're looking for is the points to come and keep momentum going while being efficient. And when I say being efficient, I mean being able to score, being able to assist without turnovers. And tonight, the 2 leading turnover people tonight was LeBron James with 7 and Rondo with 4. The issue was LeBron James played 34 minutes and had 7 turnovers, but Rondo played only 21 minutes and had just about over half of that. And so we want to see a point guard play with this second unit. We want to see what a Kuzma and a Howard and even a Daniels. Daniels got some run tonight with 17 minutes. We want to see what they could be with a playmaking guard. Tonight, Rondo missed plenty of people on cuts towards the basket, which is normally his forte, being able to catch people who are doing cuts, catch people who are coming off of screens, but he did not do it tonight. In fact, he over-dribbled. What he did do well tonight was he shot well from 3 of 5 from three-point land tonight, which is really the only reason why he was in double digits is because he was able to shoot from the three-point line. And Rondo's going to give you these points every now and again. Every team in the NBA, no matter if it's the playoffs or regular season, they're going to leave Rondo open. They're going to leave him open at the three-point line. The issue is that we don't know if he's going to be on one night or he's going to be off. And for the majority of most nights, he's off. Tonight, he happened to be on, and it helped us win the game tonight. In fact, I would venture to say if he wasn't shooting from 3 like that, we would have had an issue with trying to win this game, especially only winning by 5. But going back to turnovers, I do want to talk about LeBron James. LeBron is obviously fatigued. We're seeing his point totals go down. He did have 22 points, and really it was that last 3 in the end of the game that capped it and sealed it and really pushed him above the 20-point mark. But we're seeing a lot of weight put on his shoulders to keep this team going. Every time he sits down, he's looking at his workload. Everything he worked for dwindle down. He sees the 20-point lead that he built dwindle down to 9 points, 7-point leads. And so when he comes in, he puts it on his shoulders to get everything back going again. It's his mentality and almost his responsibility as a leader, but it should not be. Anthony Davis did contribute tonight. He actually played the most minutes out of everybody with 35 minutes. And he had 27 points tonight. Anthony Davis was great tonight. The place where he struggled the most was at the free throw line, which is really odd for him, who's generally around an 80% plus free throw shooter. Tonight, he was 9 of 14. It's not like AD to miss 5 free throws in a game. He did have a block, and he also had 3 steals and 10 rebounds. So he contributed, and the place where he suffered the most really was at the free throw line. So really nothing bad to say about Anthony Davis. At the end of the game, it did look like he was slightly hurt when he went for a rebound or went to save a ball out of bounds. It looked like he ran into a cameraman or some sort of equipment and hit his leg on it and was limping for a majority of the time that he was still left out there. So these are the reasons why when we have these teams that are sub-500 teams, they just made a trade and got rid of one of their leading scorers and added in Andrew Wiggins, who doesn't even know the system yet. And then they had a late scratch of Draymond. These are the games that you're supposed to knock these teams out. You get a 20-point lead, you keep it to keep an AD and LeBron off the floor sub 30 minutes in the game so that they can get some rest. But LeBron James is fatigued. It's obvious he's fatigued. It's obvious he's tired of trying to carry the team. And this is the hard part. The hard part is the trade deadline is over. So the optimism has to come from the buyout market. And really, based upon what's already happened with Marvin Williams and all the other things that have happened, you really only have a Darren Collison that you can really pin your hopes on. There's a couple of other names out there, but really, a J.R. Smith is not going to be the burden reliever for LeBron. He might help. He might help to bring some size, some length. Of course, he's a great guard that can play on the wing there. But it doesn't really help LeBron in the sense of trying to maintain momentum. So let me get to you guys' questions tonight. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But with that being said, we are in desperate need of a backup point guard. We need Darren Collison, and the question is he the answer? And if you have an opportunity to check out Lakers Film Room, Pete Zies, check out his film on what Darren Collison can contribute to the Lakers, especially on that second unit. A lot of the things that Rondo is supposed to do, Darren Collison excels at. The one I guess you want to say blemish that he has is that he really suffers at trying to finish at the rim. But being able to play make, being able to shoot the three, being able to spot up shoot, which is one of the things that Pete points out in the video, being able to do things that the point guard can do to keep the momentum on, and to keep the pressure on the other team with the offensive scoring. And then, of course, being able to keep up with some of these younger guards. His body is a little bit more fresh. Of course, it would take some time to get himself into NBA shape. And we've seen him at the Laker game, at the last home game that we just had the other night. And he was there with Jeannie Buss. And we've seen pictures where they were at dinner together. And it was an obvious recruiting trip. AD spoke to him. LeBron spoke to him. And so there's a desire for Darren Collison. The question is he going to be what we need to take down the Milwaukee Bucks, to take down potentially the LA Clippers, who we may see in the playoffs? Tonight is a great example of the difference in understanding of what a good win, a bad win, and a good loss is. Okay, tonight the Lakers won by 5 on the road in Golden State, and by all accounts, we would say that's a good win. But tonight, all of the chips lied in our favor. We actually had a 20-point lead, and we let it all dwindle down and made it too close. Had our stars playing way longer than they should, and one almost got hurt pretty bad. On the other end, you have the Clippers who let another team score 142 points. Well, if you're asking me which one feels better, you would almost say the Golden State win would. But given the circumstances and given the roster, it should not have happened. But here we are. And I do believe that when we sign Darren Collison, we're going to have to really figure out how to implement his minutes. I do believe Rondo's minutes are going to come back and go down. But with all that said, let's hop into these questions. Al Sanchez, it wasn't that bad a win then. If that wasn't a bad win, then I don't know what is. And I've heard it plenty of times before. There's no such thing as a bad win. I beg to differ, and tonight would be my exhibit A. I am extremely proud that we won. I'm so glad that we have LeBron James who can hit a shot at the end of the game. But it should not have been necessary. And the fact that we almost had AD hurt this late into the season, we can't really afford, just to be honest, we can't afford an injury with any of our players that would extend them for 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm not sure what happened to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope tonight because he only played 4 minutes. But I feel like something happened. Maybe he felt the tightness in his hamstring. They're really cautious about those things. So I felt like he seemed fine on the sideline, but I feel like they probably pulled him out because something he said made them be cautious with going forward. Because here's the key. When the All-Star break happens, it gives everybody a little bit of breathing room. But you don't want to waste that breathing room on an injury that's unnecessary. Tonight, if AD would have gotten hurt, if he would have fractured his leg, if he would have done something crazy, that would have been a waste because that means that you could have kept him out, but you left him in because you couldn't keep a lead. And that's what happens. That's what I consider a bad win. Blake Sinclair, Lakers started the game like they expected to win. Was a pretty sloppy effort in execution. Yeah, there's no possible way. I actually saw at a certain point, we actually had 5 more turnovers at one point in the game. And I thought to myself, it was right around the time we were up by 20. And I thought to myself, that doesn't seem right. There's really no way you should have 20 plus turnovers and be up by 20. And in my head, I was like, we're going to let this team back in it. The way we're turning this ball over with 24 turnovers tonight, the way we're turning this ball over is crazy. We also had 22 personal fouls. What saved us was they fouled us 27 times, and they also had 18 turnovers. But against a great team, it's going to be horrible. All of their runs came off of turnovers. Came off of steals, sloppy passes. LeBron once again had 7. LeBron was 1 turnover short of matching his rebound total. That you can't have that. You can't have your star player having as many turnovers as he had rebounds. You can't have that. He was 1 shy of that. But once again, I believe what we're seeing in the downtick in his point totals, and we're seeing the uptick in his turnovers, is a sign of fatigue. And we got to take advantage of these games that are coming up. We're going to talk about it at the end of this live. But we have to figure out how to maximize his rest during these times with really bad teams. So, Aniket Mohan, one of our worst wins this season. I guess LeBron and AD didn't take this game seriously at all. I don't think that they took it seriously. I believe they took it seriously. I think the issue is that they're tired. I think that's the real issue. I think now it is settled in. There's too much statistical data. The analytics are showing it. When one of them, when especially LeBron is not on the floor, the team just goes in the opposite direction. And the plus minus is like polar opposites when he's on and off the floor. When you are a player and you're working hard in the beginning, he was doing amazing things assist wise. He had 11 assists tonight. He was doing some great work in the assist category. He almost had double digits in the first half with the assists. When you see that and you work it and you work it and you work it, you get this big lead and you sit back down and you're watching the bench squander what you just spent all your energy doing. It's draining coming back in. This is very, very, very reminiscent of the Cavaliers, where he said they're top heavy. When you're talking about we're trying to keep momentum going during games, and all we're doing is we're putting our foot on the gas, we're taking it off. Putting our foot on the gas, taking it off. And this is why Darren Collison is going to be a huge signing if we can get him, because it affords the opportunity for LeBron to have a playmaker on the floor who can facilitate an offense to keep it running while he gets a breather. So, but I will say this: the rest of the team showed no urgency. I did like what I saw from Kuzma for most of the time. He almost had 30 minutes tonight with 12 points, but he also had 4 turnovers as well. So him and Rondo matched the turnover point total for the bench, and I don't understand why in 30 minutes he only took 8 shots, and I don't know, it's because of the rotations and the way they were going, and maybe because Troy Daniels played 17, but Troy Daniels only shot three shots. So part of me feels like Kuzma was really trying to do more facilitating. He did have 3 steals, 6 assists, so he was active on the defensive end, and he was active with dishing out. But we want Kuzma to score. That's what keeps the momentum going. That's what stops runs. That's how we get things going, and tonight just wasn't his night. More than 20 turnovers this game. Yeah, and to be honest with you guys, we actually tend to do high turnovers, okay? The saving grace in this, and this is to make us breathe and feel a little bit better, when the Golden State Warriors were on their 5-year run, going to the finals and doing all that stuff, they were a high turnover team. Anytime that you accentuate or anytime that you put an emphasis on sharing the ball, which the Lakers do, you will tend to overshare in trying to develop the culture of sharing. So because of that, when you do that, you will find moments where you're trying to make passes and you're thinking the guy's going to be there, he's not there, or you're trying to make a pass and you guys just aren't on the same page and you're missing it. A couple of passes LeBron did on a pick and roll to JaVale, he threw it at his ankles. It's just different, right? And so when you're trying to get those things going, you're going to have turnovers, okay? So it doesn't negate the fact that you're a championship team. In fact, all it really does is show what type of championship team you are. We are a championship team that values sharing the ball. We are not the Golden State Warriors in the fact that we shoot threes like them, although Avery Bradley was fired tonight, and of course Rondo was on his thing. But it's really more about the idea that we're sharing the ball, trying to find the best possible shot that we can get. And if we get too low on the shot clock, we just dump it down to 80 and let him go to work. Kuz and Rondo should play 41 games in a season since they just do very well every other game. That's a great point, man. Yeah, I mean, for Rondo, this is what we have to look forward to. If the Lakers get the point guard that they have been talking about aggressively getting, if they get that point guard, then what that means is that you're going to see a downtick in Rondo's minutes. Okay, that's automatic. Caruso does a great job, but his minutes are already minimized. And Rondo played significant minutes tonight. I think he played almost 20. He played 21 minutes tonight. So he played significant minutes. But if Darren Collison comes in, he's going to be playing 20 plus minutes. So you're going to start seeing Rondo and Caruso almost playing similar type of minutes. I know that there's this weird thing right now where Kuzma's kind of off again and on again, but if you watch the beginning of the game, I could see the frustration on Kuzma's face. There were plenty of times he made cuts to the basket, had beat his man, Rondo didn't pass it. 3 times in the first half alone, in the first quarter alone, he was trying to get to the basket to do the easy thing that Kuzma does. He gets down to the basket, draws the foul, he'll get the layup. And he was trying his hardest to do that tonight, and Rondo just wasn't making the read. And then when he finally did make a read, he cuts down to the basket. Kuzma's coming baseline because he thinks Rondo's going to put it up, and he was going to go for the putback just in case Rondo missed. Rondo ends up he throws it as hard as he can at Kuzma, and he does it behind him. So Kuzma now is trying to get the ball. He touches it. misses it. It ends up being a turnover, one of the 24 that we had. So for Kuzma, if you're doing everything you can to get open to get the ball, and you're trusting the facilitator to do it, and they're not doing it, it does not only steal from your confidence, but it adds to your frustration. Darren Collison, I believe, will help Kuzma get back on track with his scoring. I believe you're going to see, if he does come, I believe you'll see double-digit average from Kuzma once again. I think you're going to start seeing him not needing to do assists. Tonight he did 6 assists tonight because that was the only thing he could do. Every time he got the ball, he basically had to pass out of it because he was getting it off of rebounds, or he was getting it off of loose balls, or any of those things. So it's very unfortunate, but I do believe Darren Collison is going to help fix Kuzma. I don't think there's any fixing Rondo. I think Rondo is at the end of his rope, and I think it's okay for us to admit that. He's had a great run in his career. He's done amazing things, but I think this is the end. People gave Kuzma the benefit of the doubt coming back from injury. Same thing for Bradley. Now he's back rolling. Yeah, man, Bradley was just absolutely amazing tonight. He was it really started with the 3-point shooting, and I don't know what's happened with him in this resurgence, but he's been almost a 50% 3-point shooter since he's been back, or really in the last 5 games. Something has clicked for him in his confidence, and maybe it's just him getting his legs back. Maybe he just feels like he's back in shape for games. But this is a different Avery Bradley, and if this is the Avery Bradley that we're gonna get, and maybe not 21 points, but you give me 4 rebounds, you're aggressive the way you're aggressive, you're shooting a high percentage from 3, then I am perfectly fine with Avery Bradley playing in the starting lineup. And I think when we were talking about some of these trades that didn't happen and some of these potential things, one of the things that stuck out to me was I'm not sure in the way that Avery Bradley is playing now, and after seeing what happened with KCP and how he came back and contributed the way he's been contributing, I don't know if I'd be so willing to get rid of Avery Bradley. I think, I know it sounds crazy because statistically, if you look over the season, he's average. But this uptick that we're seeing, we tend to see this with Laker guards. We saw it with Quinn Cook. We saw it with Troy Downs. We saw it with KCP. You're starting to see it, right? The difference is with Kyle Kuzma is that Kyle Kuzma has really never found his rhythm. He's just had small spikes. But the only time we saw consistency out of Kuzma was when he was starting. And unfortunately, there's no room for him to start. So I think Avery Bradley, if he continues this trek, is going to make it significantly easier for us to find an identity as a team. I just wish we could find somebody like AB on the bench, and hopefully Darren Collison can be that guy. So let me see here. Who else we have? We have Al Sanchez. What do you think Vogel made a bad call in not playing Howard more in the second half? No. The issue with Howard is that Howard is good on pick and rolls. He's obviously excellent with rebounds, having 8 tonight. And to be honest with you, with 4 of those being offensive, which is huge. I mean, he was doing putbacks and things like that. Howard is probably the more efficient out of JaVale and him. Out of the 2 bigs, he's the most efficient, and he actually has the most energy. The issue is that he can't keep up. Dwight has spent a lot of minutes, man, running, jumping, pressure on that back, just trying to get healthy. And Howard played 13 minutes tonight. JaVale played 21, so we obviously know who Vogel was going with. But there are moments where Dwight can't go that kind of distance. When we have a team that doesn't run, Dwight bodes well because it gives him time to get down the court, do the half-court offense, and he's not having to get winded going back up and down. JaVale spends a little bit more time, even though he's slower, he spends more time getting his conditioning up with breathing. Part of it is just because of his condition and how he breathes and things like that. But and of course him having asthma. But he spends a lot of time, if you watch his off-season videos, getting his conditioning up. That's not really Dwight's game. So when you see teams that tend to run, you're probably going to see more JaVale than you're going to see Dwight, simply because of how Dwight plays, to be honest with you. But when you see the half-court set, you'll probably see a little bit more Dwight than you'll see JaVale, because Dwight dominates in those half-court sets. So I don't know if he made a mistake. I just think it was something that he had to do in order to preserve the speed of the game. So, Al Sanchez, do you think Vogel made a bad call in... I'm sorry, no. Anik Mohan. AB with a nice offensive spark. Good to see him playing well offensively these last few games. Absolutely. Last 5 games, he's been on fire. Let's see if he can keep it going. Gary, can we take a moment to laugh at the Clippers? I did bring them up. The Clippers lost tonight, and one of my fears was, and this is something for us to always pay attention to around trade deadline, when teams make trades that they're excited about, you have to be weary of it. The Warriors were excited to get D'Angelo out, not because they didn't like him, but he just did not fit. And they were able to get rid of him and in return get a player who fits far better. Wiggins on this team makes this team far more efficient than when D'Angelo Russell was on this team. I think D'Angelo Russell's a better player, personally, but he's also a ball stopper, which is against the offense of Golden State. So Golden State was excited. Part of how they played tonight was the excitement of having Wiggins. And Wiggins is excited because he knows they see him in their future. So he can actually settle his bags and be good. On the opposite end, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell have been dying to get together. So they were excited about this trade. They finally make the trade happen, and now you don't have Jimmy Butler. Now you have a D'Angelo Russell there, and they played with a little bit different energy tonight. And I don't think D'Angelo was even that much of I didn't see the score, box score, but it just felt like the Timberwolves have fresh energy. If you score 142 points on the Clippers, that's normally a spike because of something that has recently happened. The Timberwolves are not going to be a 142 point scoring team, okay? And to be honest with you, you'll probably never see them do that again. If this was a Clipper 7-game series, you would just throw that game away because there's no way they're doing that 7 games in a row, okay? Or 4 games in a row, for that matter. Blake St. Clair, I still don't think they are fully utilizing the 2-man game down low for LeBron and AD. Tonight was better, but not a great defensive team as constructed for opposition. I am baffled, Blake. I'm right along with you. I'm baffled at how little we run the pick and roll effectively. Okay, we have these bigs. On a night like tonight, there was nobody on the court that can handle AD. Absolutely nobody on the court who can handle AD. Okay, his turnaround, baseline jumper fadeaways were unstoppable. Him doing lobs, they had to foul him just for him not to do it. He was just unstoppable. Okay. So when those things happen, it baffles me that we don't abuse it. It's one of those things where we should be talking more about, I wish they would do something else besides pick and roll, but we don't. We are asking for them to do it more. And 50 games into the season, we shouldn't be asking them to do the pick and roll more when you have the league's best big man in Anthony Davis and the league's best passer in LeBron James on the same team, and it's just not happening. So I don't know if this is my conspiracy theory. I feel as though they're trying to preserve some of the things that they're trying to do for the playoffs. Frank Vogel made a comment a few games ago saying that he didn't want to show all their cards in a certain aspect. Because there's certain things there's certain plays that you want to run, certain things that you want to do, and tendencies that you don't want on film for a team to look at. And I'm wondering if the pick and roll they're trying to kind of keep it off the radar a little bit. But every team should know. Every team should know that the pick and roll is going to be our bread and butter. And really with KCP, with Danny Green, and now with Avery Bradley, even Troy Daniels, with our 3-point shooting, even driving and kicking should be something that we facilitate more. When LeBron spent those last few seconds of the shot clock in the fourth quarter, it was like right around the 5 or 6 minute mark, I believe. He was going down to he got somebody on the ISO, he cleared out and was going down. They collapsed on him, and I thought that he was going to kick it out to a Danny Green who was sitting in the corner, but he did not. He tried to go up for it. They blocked his shot, and it ended up being an and one on the other side. These are things that I'm not sure why it's not becoming more of a statement that we should be doing kick and drives, that we should be doing pick and roll, but they're not doing it, and I do not know why that is. Spain Torero, minimum effort to beat teams is our load managing. I would say yes if we didn't have to have LeBron James scoring or playing 34 minutes. If you notice on that last 3 before they took the timeout and he sat down for the rest of the game, he made the 3 and then just hung his head. That's very telling for LeBron, okay? That lets you know he was so excited that he scored and he was like, man, finally I can sit down. Because up until that point, he couldn't sit down. And this is a lot, man. This is a lot. It's emotionally, it's a lot. The Kobe thing is still a lot. And then, of course, you still have this 50 games. And last year, he didn't go this far, right? Last year, right around Christmas, he was done. And then he tried to come back, and it wasn't working. So this is the longest I think he's gone in the last couple of years. And this is going to be something that he's going to have to learn how to deal with in year 17. He's obviously not washed. And he's obviously still playing at a high level, at a premium level. But this is going to be hard, okay? And we need him to play less than 30 minutes. That's what we need. Vogel was experimenting with different lineups this game. Yeah, and I think when KCP only played 4 minutes, that's when it became obvious that he was going to do something differently. And I think he knew that he didn't need another Quinn Cook on the floor. He already had Caruso, Rondo, and LeBron. So it looked like it was either going to be Dudley or going to be Daniels. And Daniels made the most sense tonight. He played 17 minutes and only shot 1 of 3 from three-point land. That's all he shot with three-pointers. He only made 1. And so I think he's trying to figure out who can do what. And it's going to be a great evaluation time for the coaches during All-Star break for them to sit down and look at all the trends of these games, man, and be able to really identify what is our lineup going to look like, what's our locked rotation going to look like when we get to the playoffs. And hopefully after All-Star break, Darren Collison will make a decision as to where he's going to go. Because if he comes to us, it's going to be a great upgrade into our bench unit. Tonight's 39th win marks the most since 2013. Jonathan Watson, my brother, I'm glad you rolled with me today. This is huge, guys. In 7 years, we have not won 39 wins. We have not won 39 games, and tonight we are 39-12. That is huge. 22-5 away. And this, once again, I talked about this the last couple shows. The race is to 40. Okay, the race is to 40. Once you hit 40, okay, now you're looking at what does the rest of my season look like, and you can easily project how many more games I'm going to win. Okay, if you've won 40, at this point, I'm assuming they're going to win the next game. That would be 40-12. That means that we've won 40 games and we've only lost 12. So if I project that out in the 82-game season, and I'm saying, okay, based upon this average, I should win 15, 20 more at minimum, right? At minimum, I should win about 20 more. 15 more, should I say. That's my average in my head. And if you can do that, that's a great way to go into the playoffs. And really, we want to lock in the standings, because with the Clippers losing tonight, because they're the closest one to us in the Western Conference, they're 36-16, and we're 39-12. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. It's almost a 4-game divide between the two of us. That's the kind of stuff you want to see, man. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. Blake St. Clair, most teams treat a Rondo like he has courtside seats and just wandered into the game. I hate saying this, guys, because a part of me has a huge respect for Rondo. This season aside, he's had some tremendous moments. Obviously, winning championships. We really know Rondo as a Celtic more than anything. And he has a fire, and his basketball IQ is through the roof. But there's always that point where the body can't keep up with the competitor. And I think internally, Rondo is the NBA player that we need, because he's crazy, right? He's crazy. He loves antagonizing the other team. He doesn't back down to anybody, and he always believes in himself. Unfortunately, his body and his skill set is not being maxed. He just can't. I think he's played himself into a place now where it's like you're going to get what you're going to get. You're not going to see a resurgence with him. I don't think you're going to see a different Rondo in the playoffs, because a lot of the decision making he's making right now, I can't see how it's going to change come playoffs. And if it takes the playoffs for you to change it, then that's a problem altogether. So I speak about him respectfully, but I also agree with you, Blake. He's just not a good fit on this team. He's just not a good fit with this unit. Maybe he'd be something different somewhere else, but right now he does not fit well with this team. Al Sanchez, we need Collison. Absolutely. Collison, Crawford, and Jeff Green for Cousins, Cook, Daniels. You have to be careful. You got to be careful about adding in older players over young players, because once again, Cousins, I don't know what to make of Cousins because we don't know what's going to happen. I have my own theories, as you guys have heard. Cook and Daniel still offer you some youth, some speed, and you need that. Okay, Jeff Green, Jeff Green is cool. Collison is cool. Well, obviously Collison is still young. Crawford has played some years. Even J.R. Smith is kind of on the back end of his life, on the back end of his career. So I'm weary about trying to get rid of all the young players and put in new ones. I think Cook and Daniel still contribute. If I can depend on Troy Daniels to give me 1-3 every game, that helps me, because that means I can put him in when we're struggling just to spark the three-point shooting. And Cook can still handle the ball on some level. He's just a defensive liability because he's so small, and he can't fight through screens well because he's too small. But I don't know if I would just get rid of him for Crawford, because Crawford's not going to play defense at all. He's a horrible defender. and he's gonna give you buckets, which is cool. But really, what we need is somebody who's able to facilitate, not just score. We need someone who's able to facilitate. Collison, Blake Sinclair is the help the Lakers need. Absolutely, I agree. Still a question to find out what's going to happen, but I believe he's coming. Smith 818, J.R. Smith will be an assassin. He is dying to get back in the league. The boy Jay looks nice. Yeah, J.R. Smith is an anomaly, man, because he's one of those Shaq in the Fool kind of guys where it's like, man, you have all the skill set in the world. You just make some really weird decisions, man. But he's also very streaky, which is what you want sometimes. He's able to get hot, and when he gets hot, you can't stop him, man. He's not afraid of shooting. You know what he is? He's actually kind of what Kuzma could be, in a sense of once he gets going, you can't stop him, and he's not going to be afraid of getting it going. And so that's really what J.R. Smith is. And I saw that video. I don't know if some of you guys kind of saw that. Showtime even, I believe Ardell, from Showtime, showed a video of him shooting. And it looks pure, man. He looks like he's ready. Looks like he's in shape. The Lakers are going to be meeting with him, I believe, on Tuesday. And they're going to be working out with him, talking to him. And it's very possible. It's very possible you could see somebody getting cut to make room for J.R. Smith. Most likely it would be a Quinn Cook. And I think if we got Darren Collison, the next person you're going to see is Daniels. But J.R. Smith and a Collison, I'm not totally mad at that. Of course, it's not a Morris, and it's not, whoever else the Clippers have. But even with that, guys, I still think it's going to help us push towards the parade on Figueroa. Blake Sinclair, having another two-way guard opens up a lot of options for the roster flexibility with rotations going forward. And that's what you want. You want to be able to figure this stuff out now. So understand this. They have until March 1st in order for any buyouts to sign with the team to be eligible to play in the playoffs. So we're gonna be making some moves between now and the next couple weeks. So with these moves that we're gonna make, once we do that, that means all of March is trying to solidify what my rotations are gonna be. You're not gonna see mix and match in the playoffs. We haven't been to the playoffs in so long, we forgot. But once you kind of get to the playoffs, you're really kind of down to an 8-man, possibly a 9-man rotation, depending how things go. You figure out who's going to do what. We actually have more depth than that. We could go 10 depending on who we sign in the buyout market. So it's going to be really about how do we operate in the rotations. And having a J.R. Smith could really help. Having a Collison's definitely going to help because that means you minimize having to play Rondo, and you can play Collison along with Caruso, so you can supply the defense and the playmaking at the same time. If you count Bradley and KCP alongside, maybe Caruso too. Absolutely. G. Farron, 24-5. Hey, man, great to see you. Even if we bring Collison, are we sure that Vogel will stop Rondo? Okay, so this is part of what I believe the recruiting process is about. And I think part of it is one of the reasons why I believe Collison is a favorite to come to the Lakers over the Clippers. Minutes are going to matter to him. I don't think he wants to come and sit. He can do that now. You're also talking about a player who walked away from $10 million because of what he believes. And so if there's something that's going to bring him back after walking away from $10 million, because we're not giving him $10 million, right? For him to come back, he's going to have to play at the veteran minimum, maybe a little bit more, like a mil plus or something like that. But once he comes back, he's going to be looking to establish a reason why he's back. And for him to come in and be able to facilitate 15 to 20 minutes means that you're going to have to take away minutes from either Rondo or Caruso. Caruso is too active in the passing lanes with his hands. He's been getting better from shooting from three, and he's getting far more aggressive, and he makes better decisions than Rondo. I think he's doing Rondo something now because when he does finally have you can't lose your vets. Okay, this is something that the coaches can't do. You cannot lose your vets. You have to find a way to strategically keep Rondo engaged, even though you're going to minimize his minutes. I think part of playing him in these minutes is strategically a setup for these moments. I think they're getting ready to have a conversation. I think Darren Collison had a conversation with Jeannie Buss. I think they talked about, listen, we want you to come in. We need point guard help. We want you to see it for yourself. Come to the game. Sit down. Now do you see how much we want to utilize you? We want to swap you out. You see where Rondo did? Could you do that better? I think these are discussions that they're having. And I think it's not going to be really up for Frank Vogel to leave Collison on the bench. I think that has to be a conversation that they're going to have prior to him being signed. And I just don't see a way that Collison will come back signed to only play 10 minutes. Just doesn't make sense. Let's see here. Rome. I feel like the biggest downfall for the Lakers right now is how many turnovers they have each night. Yeah. And I said it before, turnovers is something that's going to happen with teams that pass. Unfortunately, ours have been ticking up, and this late in the season, you want them to go down. But the biggest contributor to our turnovers, and if I'm being honest, the biggest contributor to our collapses in a lot of times is LeBron's turnovers. LeBron leads us in turnovers in most times. Like tonight, he had 7 turnovers tonight, and the next 2 were Kuzma and Rondo at 4. For LeBron to have such a high turnover rate, okay, we even saw earlier this season he had a game where he had 4 turnovers in the same half, and he just took himself out the game because he was so frustrated. I think a lot of that has to do with just fatigue. I don't think it's the team per se. I think a lot of it starts with LeBron and it moves from there. The first LeBron 80 turnover was symbolic. Smith 818. Yes, very much so. Smith 818. Jamal Crawford is a plan C option. For the love of God, get somebody to pump life into the Los Angeles Lakers. Guys, an 82-game season is long, guys. It's long. I'm telling you right now, even me just doing post games, there are times where I'm like, yo, this is, 2, 3, 4 times a night. And I'm in Houston, right? So it's 11 o'clock my time. It wears on you. And I ain't doing nothing strenuous. I'm drinking water and sitting my big behind some desk, and I'm talking to y'all. I can only imagine if I was in my 17th year, if I was Avery Bradley, if I was Rondo, if I'm a lot of this Danny Green who's been on multiple championship teams. You just don't put an emphasis so much on the regular season because you're trained for the finals. You're trained for the playoffs. You're trained for these things. Rondo's been there. Green's been there. Bron's been there. These are people who are like, Dwight's been there. JaVale's been there. These guys have been doing this for so long that it's hard to keep that momentum up in an 82-game season, knowing that the real energy is going to be needed in the playoffs. So I'm not worried. I do agree with you. There needs to be energy. But what I really want to see, the ideal situation, is the Lakers starters getting a huge lead, the second unit of young guys, Kuzma, Caruso, possibly Collison. I really wish we had another big that we can throw in there to kind of give some time. Like getting those young guys in there and letting them go crazy, man. Letting them go wild. Let them use up all their energy. And the vets on the bench cheering them on. And then in the fourth quarter, you have the vets come back, possibly close out the game or come back in the third quarter, come out, make sure the lead gets extended, sit down for the fourth, and cheer on the young guys. That's the ideal situation heading into the playoffs. But for whatever reason, it's not happening. I just don't see guys. I'm just being honest. It's not like Jamal Crawford couldn't have gotten picked up by other teams. There's a reason why. Yes, he can still get buckets. He's an absolute monster on the offensive end. That doesn't help in a league where teams are averaging, like tonight, a Minnesota can get 142 points. Scoring is really not the issue in the league today. What makes the Clippers so dangerous is their ability to defend. Now, obviously, they didn't do that tonight, but their ability to defend, when they decide to defend, it's crazy. Okay? When the Lakers decide to turn it on, it's crazy. When Boston decides to turn it on, it's bananas. When Sixers decide to turn it on, their defense, it's incredible. Even Miami Heat, when they turn that thing on, it's incredible. So it's about defense. Jamal Crawford makes you suffer so bad on the defensive end, it's really not worth the points that he would give to subsidize that. Not only that, is that he's just older. And he's a ball stopper. He's a tremendous player. This is not slander. This is just putting it into perspective, okay? Right now, I take him over Troy. Yeah, a lot of people said they would, but I don't see what he would offer, and I don't understand why I would put a Jamal Crawford. Listen, Troy sits most games, okay? Troy sits most games. He's generally a DNP. So I don't know if that's what Jamal Crawford is signing up for, is to be a DNP. I'd rather have Caruso over Jamal Crawford because Caruso can stop their offense from scoring and help facilitate and create some offense on the other end. Spencer, I'd rather have all these turnovers now, learn from them, get the chemistry right for playoff time. Yeah, I just want to see my boys rested, man. I want to see us clinch this conference, secure our number 1 seed, and just have them chill out. I just want them not to play for like 5 games at the end of the season and laugh and joke and get all of it out their system so that when the playoffs start, it's game over. I want to see us playing in June, guys. And so I'm really hoping the turnovers, get down. But I really, really want them to just get up to a place where they can rest. Blake St. Clair, you can't blame all the turnovers on moving the ball to open man. Just bad passes to initiate plays and terrible decisions with cross-court passes. Yes, but once again, this is the same as the Warriors. So the idea for LeBron is with cross-court passes and things like this. Their thought process is, I want to. It's better for me to try this cross-court pass than it is for me to try to ISO ball. And you make terrible decisions sometimes, but sometimes it works well in your favor. In most cases, you would not want LeBron James driving to the basket and then throwing the ball no look over his head to a Danny Green in the corner in the final seconds of a game to win. But when you have that mentality, when it works, it's amazing. When it doesn't, you have 24 turnovers. And so it's one of those, it's like you got to live with it. You got to live with it. LeBron James will try some passes that are absolutely crazy. And when he does it, it's a Sports Center top 10. When he doesn't, it's Skip Bayless's top debate topic the next morning. Okay? So I think they need to clean that up, and I think LeBron does too, but it doesn't worry me as much. It feels like more like a moment in time. It feels more like a season within a season. This is just a stretch right now where LeBron is tired and he's making bad decisions. Especially to start the game. Yeah, that start of the game was just horrible. Smith 818. My fear is the team cannot beat top tier teams. The issue is focus. I agree partly, but I really think the issue is this: the starting lineup can hang with anybody. It's our bench that seems to have an issue with keeping momentum, number one, and then number two, being able to generate offense on their own. This is why Darren Collison has to be the answer for us, is because we need backup. We need it. We absolutely need it. If we don't have backup, then no matter what team we play, it's going to be a problem. So I'll give you a perfect example. If you're playing a tough team, and like a top tier team, Clippers, Boston, 76ers, and your second unit cannot keep momentum, then that means that if your starters aren't blowing out the other team, then you're going to get blown out. But if you're able to have a solid bench, then what happens is that you're able to keep the pace, keep the game close so that the starters can come in and do what they got to do. That's not so much focus as much as it is roster construction. And our team did great in the first 29, 30 games because they were able to beat up on sub 500 teams. And in those games, what would either happen is, especially in the beginning, games would be close. I hope you guys remember this. In the beginning, there were a lot of teams we were like, man, the streak is still alive, we won, but that was way too close for comfort. We were saying that like pretty religiously in the first few months. Well, that's because your starters were able to come in and do what they had to do, but your bench wasn't. And so it was always keeping things close. It was always keeping things close because the bench wasn't able to sustain. And so when your bench is not able to sustain, you're really just trying to play catch up every single time. Okay, where teams are normally out of it, sub 500 teams, they can fight their way into it for 2 quarters, because for 2 quarters you're going to have your bench in. Okay, with tough teams that have good benches, when their bench comes in, they're gonna destroy our second unit, and by that time it's impossible for our team to come back, our starters to come back and do anything. But part of it is focus, but I think a lot of it has to do with roster construction, and our second unit is just not great. Davey Dalawampu. Lakers need to sign someone from the buyout market. This current roster ain't it. The Lakers made it very clear in December. They said this in December. We are going to be active and aggressive during the trade market. The truth is, during the trade market, way more teams were active than we were, and they have far more assets than we do. We're drained on picks. Our contract construction that we have with our current players will require us to essentially leave gaps to fill another hole. So you'd have to basically trade 3 players to get 1, which leaves you with depth issues. Okay, and so it's hard. We do need to sign somebody. That buyout market is going to be our gold. But during the trade market, there were some trades we could have made. Absolutely, there's some trades we could have made. But factoring in chemistry and factoring in, I believe, what LeBron feels, I think like some of these trades just weren't going to happen. And so the buyout market, Darren Collison is going to be, I believe, the answer that we need. And I am so with you, Davey. We have to make this happen by hook or by crook. We got to get this guy into that. We can't afford for Darren Collison to come back and go to any other team. Not just the Clippers. He can't go to any other team but the Lakers because he feels the need that we have. Laker Metropolis. D'Lo didn't play. Wow. So the Timberwolves beat them without D'Lo. That's crazy. Blake St. Clair. I had the same conspiracy theory about the pick and roll. They have to know it's unstoppable and they don't want to let it out of the bag yet. Blake, I'm with you, man. It's just the only thing that can make sense. Everything else, nothing else makes sense to me as to why you wouldn't use the most dominant play that you have, pick and roll. And it's not even like, oh my God, they're gonna figure out that we're running the pick and roll. There's no way to defend AD and LeBron, especially when LeBron is hitting threes. If LeBron sags back and decides and just he goes for the pick and roll and decides to reset, you're in trouble. If you come too high and try to help, you're leaving the passing lane open for one of the greatest passers to get it to AD, and AD will go for anything. We've seen it. We've seen Danny Green throw a lob that had no business being caught, and AD put it down with one hand. So I don't know. Hard to believe that we are a better road team than a home team. I think it is. I think because of the chemistry of this team, they tend to work better when they're away from the distractions of home. But like everything from Kuzma to AD, like all these guys have things going on. JaVale McGee has Jug Life. AD is doing Ruffles potato chips and NBA 2K. And LeBron has 96,000 things that he's doing. Danny Green has the podcast. It's just Kyle Kuzma has Puma and he's dating 17 different celebrities. All these guys have all these ventures going on. And when you're away from home, that's your opportunity not to worry about those things. And I think they just happen to play better when they're away. And they like each other. They love to play with each other. I think at home it's just many more distractions than really what should be. Davey, Lakers are 3 wins from having a winning record for the first time since 12-13 season. Yeah, and we just talked about it earlier. Jonathan Watson from Showtime Forum, salute to my boy. He just pointed out, last time we had 39 wins was 2013. That's crazy. It breaks my heart that we've had to endure what we've endured. But what we do know is that this team is going to be a 50-plus win team, and I really believe a 60-plus win team. I think we're going to end up winning 60 games. I haven't factored out how many games we've played so far. I truly believe we're going to be 60-win game. I think we're not going to lose too many more games. I just think like we're gonna pick it up after this All-Star break. Jonathan Sofel, hey, good to see you, John. Great post game, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Winston Mobile Apps. Lakers look like they need a break. They look tired. Absolutely, I'm in agreement with that. Faceless God, joining the party a bit late. Sorry if you already talked about it, but what do you think is missing in this team? Is it rest? Killer instinct? I feel we are still incomplete to compete in the finals. Thanks. Faceless God, man, thank you for coming in. Even if you came in late, I'm so with it. I do believe everything you said, I sort of addressed, but this is you used a word in here that's great. Killer instinct. This is the part that's the unknown for us. Okay? We know that this team has the ability to turn it on defensively. We know when this team is fully rested and healthy, they are great on offense. What we don't know is that when the rubber meets the road and you got to make things happen, is the Mamba really in you? The tattoo's on you, AD. The tattoo's on you, LeBron. But I need to know, is the killer in you? Do you want to see your friends be destroyed? That's the idea. And I don't know if we have that. I think it's easier for other teams to have it against us because it's easier to hate us. But for most of our team, you got to remember, most of our team, the oldest Laker that we have, the oldest 2 Lakers that we have, if I'm being honest, I'm not counting Dwight, the oldest 2 Lakers that we have, as far as tenure, is Alex Caruso and Kuzma. Okay? We don't have the Byron Scott, we don't have the Kobe, the Rick Fox, the Robert Horry. We don't have the culture where the Laker DNA has been embedded in the people. This is a team that came together this year, and they've all known from afar what the Lakers are. But that killer instinct has to come with the pride of knowing the organization that you play for. And I think every single person on this team is proud to be a Laker. I don't think any of them want to be traded. I think they love playing for the Lakers, but I think it's more because of how much the Lakers make it great for them. The facility, the brand, Jeannie Buss and how much she loves her players, and how much our fan base is in every arena. Our team is spoiled. They were chanting Lakers today in another arena in Golden State. Our Laker fans are in every single city. So we have, with the exception of Boston, we have in Boston, but not as many. We have the ability to really do what other teams don't have the ability to do. And sometimes that can make you lazy. Okay, Kobe came in right when he was able to be around some veterans who were looking at him, and they wouldn't even let him play at first. They wouldn't even let him play at first. So, like, that mentality of having to earn your way, grind, grit, that's not necessarily in this team because they haven't been here long enough. The question is, will you have it in time for the playoffs? Because one thing that they're going to learn about us as Laker fans is once you get to the playoffs, there is no such thing as success without a chip. You can't say, oh, we got to the Western Conference Finals. I don't care how many years we've been out the playoffs. If you don't make it to the NBA Finals and set fire to the finals, you have failed. And we will remind you that you failed. We love you, but we'll remind you. And we'll remind you so much that you'll either ask to leave or you'll get your behind in that gym and make it happen. Matter of fact, if you guys remember the last time we lost to the Clippers, whenever that was, I think it was Christmas Day, Snoop gets on Instagram and lights up the entire roster, tells them all to get it together, and that's when we went on a 9-game winning streak. So I think like they're gonna learn real quick how deep this DNA runs. Winston Maps, defense is poor right now. It looks like they are in mourning. I think they're just tired, guys. I think they're just tired. I think these other teams I think they were good in the beginning. I think they were all excited. I think it was laughs and giggles and the whole nine. I think now the rubber's hitting the road and their stamina is not as great. And it's just hard. It's just hard for them, and they really do need to take some time. I really hope that during this All-Star break they get the rest they need. That listen, Frank Vogel actually canceled a practice and said they needed a rest. He was like they don't need to practice today because they need a rest, and that's heavy. I'm trying to catch up. Boogie has been there. Cook too. Smith 818. Yes. I'm sorry, for finals. Yes, absolutely. And Boogie was much more of an anomaly because I mean he was there by nature, and he played, but he wasn't a part of like that. He wasn't like Danny Green where he was like part of the DNA of the championship culture. He was there for a moment, really. But Cook was a part of it. I'm guessing we see the best of Kuz next season after he gets a playoff run. This will be his first one. Etiquette, I don't know if it's going to work into waking him up, but we'll see. Laker Metropolis, let's say the Collison is in the bag for the Lakers. Who should the Lakers look at the wing? I'm saying this, and I shouldn't say this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm feeling like J.R. Smith might be it. I hate saying this. I don't even know why I'm saying this. I laughed. Guys, you don't even understand. When the Cleveland Cavaliers played the Warriors in that last final, and JR made that mistake. This is before LeBron signed with us, right before he signed with us. I was begging for the Cavaliers to lose. I was begging. I was like, man, God, please don't let LeBron win because I want him to just be done with Cleveland and come to the Lakers. We had all been hearing the smoke about it. And so when JR made that move, I laughed. When he didn't put that ball in and LeBron went crazy, it's the meme of all memes where LeBron is just like, I can't believe it, right? Didn't call timeout, none of that. So like, when I saw that, I was like, man, I would never have JR on my team. Laugh. And now I'm looking and I'm like, I think I want JR on my team. So for me, that would be my wing Laker Metropolis. Winston mobile apps. Kuzma defense is bad. I would think it should be getting better. Kuzma, and once again, we talked about this before. I'm gonna start wrapping it up, but we started talking about this before. With this, that the veterans have been trying to train Kuzma to be versatile in his game. They don't want him to be a shooter only. We do. We just want him to turn the shooting on, and I think that to me is the most effective way for him to play. But they want him to be good when his shot is not falling. So we've seen a couple of games in his last 5 or 6 game stretch. He's had 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 rebounds in a game. Tonight he had 6 assists. I can't think of the last time Kuzma had 6 assists in a game. So they're trying to get him active in doing other things. And so, his defense does struggle, but they're trying to make sure that they keep him active in at least 2 areas during the game. He was double digits tonight with his points. And he was active. He got to the foul line the whole nine. But his defense is just suffering. Go Dub Nation. Lakers need to sign someone from the buyout market and waive somebody. This current roster ain't it. Agreed. We've been talking about. Ethan Shirazi 24. What do you think about Reggie Jackson? I like Reggie. I don't think Reggie fits. I think Reggie is an incremental increase from Rondo, in the sense of playmaking. Right. I think Reggie's a far better scorer than Rondo is. But we need we need somebody who's able to facilitate that offense in the stead of LeBron. I don't know if Reggie fits that as much. I know Darren does. I don't know if Reggie does. I'm not asking him to be LeBron, but to be able to play make and have the offense run through them to make our offense much more efficient. Remember, guys, these teams that are scoring on us, most of the time when they hit these runs, it's off of turnovers. It's not half-court sets. Half-court sets, we generally do fine defensively. But when we turn it over and they get out on that break, we are horrible in transition defense, which means you need someone to take care of the ball and make every offensive possession efficient. I don't know if Reggie Jackson's going to do that. Blake Sinclair, I just want LeBron driving to the basket full stop. Yeah, man, I want him to go straight at it, but I just don't know if he's going to do it. Straight Savage, how do you feel about Reggie Jackson? Yeah, we talked about that. That's how I feel. Winston, mobile apps. That's why Kuzma has to understand his role and score more. That's what I want him to do. But from everything that we're hearing, these veterans are feeding him something different. They're like, nah, bruh, you need to be able to learn how to do multiple things. And I get it, but I don't know, man. Forget about that open man. Put his head down and not care about the fouls either way. Yeah, Blake Sinclair. Yeah, I wish he would do that. I think he does have a fear of the free throw line because he is horrible at the free throw line, man. Him and Wiggins, that's where the one place where they are like the same. They cannot shoot free throws. Smith 818, will signing Caruso, LBJ, and AD be difficult this offseason? Braun has to take a pay cut. I don't know. I haven't looked at the salary construction, but no, I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. Number one, Caruso's contract would be super small. And I know, well, obviously AD is going to be a max player. I don't know what LeBron's going to do in regards to, I mean, his contract is already set, basically, for this next year. But I don't know. I don't know how the roster is going to be constructed because we have a lot of contracts that are just weird. But we're not going to run it back with the same roster. We're not going to finish the season with the same roster. Not in my opinion. Lakers, MKG and Collison. MKG and Collison. Michael Kidd Gilchrist. I once again, and I'm not even sure why he got cut. He has never really panned out to me. He's had moments, but he's never really been that guy. Collison to me has been the most steady. Not a superstar, but a definite contributor. That's what we need. Smith 818. Braun was working on some post moves with Phil Handy too. Haven't seen too many so far for later. I think Braun needs to not work so much on post moves, and here's my reasoning why. He's the greatest when he's driving. He passes the best when he's driving. He gets to the hoop the best when he's driving. He is most turnover prone when he's backing down. The one time where it makes sense for him to back down is when there's a smaller defender, and he had plenty of moments like that tonight with Golden State. But he dribbles it off his leg too much. He's not a tremendous dribbler. Okay. He's not a great ball handler. Okay, he's not a Kyrie. Okay, so when teams double team him, he tends to get a little bit in flux and doesn't really know what to do with the ball. He's good when he makes the decision and forces the defense to react. But when the defense forces him to make a decision, it tends not to go well. And if he plays post, that's going to be the issue. Jeannie and Rob. Jeannie and Rob need to do everything and anything to get Collison. And listen, this is going to be one of those things where you have to apply pressure and then get off. Because somebody who's trying to make a decision, money's not going to be an object to him because he left. And let me kind of get back around to this because we're getting ready to wrap it up. It's already been over an hour. I'm a man of faith as myself. And there's a huge premium that is placed on what you value in life. Okay? And so, if you've, despite what you may see, especially in the Christian realm, there is a huge premium that we read a lot in religious groups to deny the things of this world, right? So if you're going to do something, do it from the purity of your heart, not because you're chasing money or you're greedy and all that other stuff. So if Collison's going to come back, it needs to be because he has a purity of a pure love for the game, and a part of me feels like he still has that. And I think when you're talking about asking somebody to come back, I think there's not much Jeannie and Rob can do to make him feel better about that decision because they're not in his shoes in that decision. If he was vacillating between two different organizations, they can do what they need to do to sway him. But when the decision is an internal one, where it's like I'm trying to decide within myself if this is what I want to do. There's not much you can do. You can make sure that you can let him know that he's wanted. You can wine and dine him when he's available, and then you just kind of let him make his decision. and then see what happens from there. And once he gets in the building, then you do whatever you can to keep him. JR recently got a Kobe tattoo. Yeah, JR had huge love for Kobe. D Million saving it for the playoffs. I want to believe it, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and just jump myself off the boat and believe it. I'd rather just be wrong if it's not the case. Every team gets up to play LA. Yep, we talked about that as well. Every team is going to play LA extremely hard, guys. Extremely hard. They're going to play us in a way that they're trying to, we are the measuring stick for them. So they're trying to reach a standard that they have not met. And I just believe that, listen, if it happens, if we end up winning, for us, it's just another win. But for them, if they win, it is a huge check mark on their list. They can say, at least we beat the Lakers, right? Tonight would have been a huge win for the Warriors. Remember, the Warriors beat the Rockets on Christmas Day. And they beat them from the top to bottom, right? So this is a team that prides wins when the big moments happen. For people like LeBron and JaVale, and they don't really care about that stuff because they know that on the current pace they're at, they can afford to lose some games and they'll be fine in the playoffs. It's the playoffs where you're going to see them really start to make a difference. D Millen, these coaches are smart. They're playing chess, not checkers. You're going to see more half-court set come playoffs. Absolutely, I believe that as well. And remember, Phil Handy knows how to handle a team. The Toronto Raptors were good, but nobody expected them to win the championship. Part of that was Phil Handy being able to work with that team and get them ready. Fred VanVleet, I believe, was able to do some things. It's just, we'll talk about that another day. Do you think the Clippers are too worried about the Lakers instead of any other team? No, I think the Clippers legitimately... This is what we have to adjust our brains to. The Clippers really aren't worried about us. That's not really what they're worried about. I think what their mind is that they want to prove to everyone that the Clippers are not the Clippers anymore. I don't think they're really worried about us. They beat us twice already, even if they lose the next two, if we end up playing the second one, the fourth one. If they end up beating us the next two times, or we win the next two times, it's not going to matter to them. They've proven in 2019, on opening night and on Christmas Day, they can beat us. So I don't think they're worried about us. I think what they're trying to figure out is they're trying to make a statement every game, and I don't believe in them, guys. I just don't. I hear everybody saying that they're gonna do this and do that. I just don't think they have it. I think they have all the roster on the paper, but I just don't think they have, when CP3 teamed up with Blake Griffin, they put that roster together. Obviously far different than Kawhi and PG. But I just remember how everybody was talking because we were supposed to have them. This is almost identical. We were supposed to have Kawhi. They ended up going to the Clippers. We were supposed to have CP3. He ends up going to the Clippers. And it always felt like, man, they're gonna do something. They're gonna do something. This is their window, and they just never put it together. And it feels the same as the Rockets. And it feels the same as the Clippers now. I don't see it happening. Old news, but David Stern single-handedly set the Lakers back almost a decade. Yeah, ironically, as I just said. Who's getting cut for Collison? Cook or Daniels? Rondo's not getting cut. So I just want to get that out of everybody's brain. Rondo is not getting cut. Yes, Q's defense is bad. 6 assists with 4 or 5 turnovers, though. Yeah, but LeBron had 7 and had 11 assists tonight. So listen, they are doing the same thing. Phantom, doesn't Bron need to play the 4 in the playoffs if we're going to have a chance to win the chip? No. This team is maximized and built around the idea that the 4 and the 5 is always going to be a JaVale, Dwight, or AD. Bron playing the 4 is not going to work. In fact, when they thought Anthony Davis was hurt, they put Kuz in at the 4. You don't want to put Bron in a position where he's not facilitating with this team. He needs to be the facilitator. This team is the best when he's facilitating. When he's off the floor, that's one thing. But if he's on the floor and he's playing the 4 and 80 at the 5, it doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well at all. You can go over cap to re-sign your own players. You can. I don't know if the Lakers are willing to do it, but we'll see. Congratulations. You've received 100 messages today with... Oh, sorry. I'm just reading something I shouldn't read. Winston's Mobile Apps. Great show, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. DJ, address this. The Lakers don't have enough dog theory. Jonathan Watson. Yes. So the idea about this dog theory. So you guys have heard this term. Some people have called it derogatory. But if you ever hear somebody say they don't have that dog in them, the idea of that dog is I don't want to use this phrase wrong, but it's kind of like it's really like what Rodman had. If anybody was able to catch Dennis Rodman playing, especially with the Bulls, the dog is that I'm going to get after it every single game, every single play. Russell Westbrook is that person who has a dog in him. They take offense to being scored on or take offense to being shut down. They hear like negative talk about them, and it fuels them, and it makes them want to get at it. They're scrappy, right? And so people want to call Pat Beverly that. He's really not that. He's just annoying. A dog is somebody who not only gets upset, but they produce. It turns something on in their brain. And so the Lakers need to have that mentality going into the playoffs. When the Lakers don't have the dog in them, what happens is that their talent is never fully maximized. Once again, a LeBron with the dog in him means I'm going to drive on you every single time, and I'm going to dare you to keep me from scoring, right? But once again, we're talking Mamba mentality. Everybody equates the Mamba mentality really to meeting expectations or showing up in the moment. That really wasn't what Kobe's dog was. Kobe did all the pre-work for those moments. So like the dog in Kobe was, I'm going to talk trash to all my teammates. I'm going to elbow, I forgot who he elbowed, Sasa Vujacic or somebody in the chest. And I'm gonna call everybody in here losers. I'm going to walk away from practice. Like that's the dog. Like I'm going to make you tough. Essentially, like you know what I'm saying? That whole meme with Kobe calling people soft. That's a literal like I want to get so far into your head that you're afraid of me every time you see me, and that's what Kobe did, right? Is that he made teams afraid. Kobe could be 1 for 45, but if you come up and do him and be like, hey man, tough night shooting. If you say something like that to him, he's gonna go score the next 9 baskets on you because you woke something up. That's what the Lakers need. They need to be able to walk into a room. They need to have a team like the Warriors come in, have a Marquise Chris score 20 points in the first half. You come back out of halftime and go, you need the dog to go, I want Marquise Chris. Or you need the dog to go, I want Jordan Poole. Or whoever it is, I want Harden. Put me on Harden. I want him. And you annoy him to the point. Like Meta World Peace, Ron Artest was a dog. That dude, he took offense to that stuff. The issue was he was crazy. So that's the idea. That's what the Lakers need. We need to have a dog. Once again, this is another thing. Like Darren Collison is not going to give you that. He's going to give you playmaking, facilitating, and stuff like that. Rondo is technically a dog. He just doesn't have the physical attributes to do it anymore. It just doesn't have it, right? Same with Kobe. When Kobe was like in the last couple of years, he was trying so hard, but his body could not keep up with that Mamba mentality. Golden State Warriors was also decimated by injuries. Yeah, but those teams tend to play the best. I'm just telling you guys, like when you see somebody who makes a big trade, they're excited. They feel like all the young guys who normally wouldn't get a chance to play, the veterans are on the bench cheering them on. There's zero expectation for them to win, so they're shooting everything. I can't even. Let me go back real quick. They shot 32 threes tonight, and there was no Klay Thompson. And there was no Steph Curry. Who on that team is legitimately is making them shoot 32 threes? That's crazy. We have more three-point shooters than them, and we only shot 29. So they were just free tonight. They were just like, we're going to let it go. Whatever happens, happens. Okay. Pascal was 3 of 11 tonight. Bowman was 1 of 6 tonight. Toscano 2 of 6. Pargo 3 of 6. Like these guys were just letting it fly. And when you have those teams who have zero expectations on them, you can beat them. That's how we beat the 76ers on the road with Brandon Ingram hitting that last second shot the other year. It's because there was zero expectation for us to win. All right. Kat has finally agreed. Great show. Thanks for responding to all questions and comments. Man, absolutely. Not a problem. Probably LeBron doesn't operate as the angry guy well. He's more of a kumbaya kind of guy. Yeah. Now, he will turn it on. He'll turn it on at some point. He calls it playoff Bron. That's cool. That's cool. But, if you turn it on, but your team doesn't know how to deal with that culture, your team doesn't know how to adjust with you, you're going to be the only one with that dog in you, and it's not going to make a difference. Part of what Kawhi did with the Toronto Raptors, he's so dark, man, like, in his mentality and stuff like that, like, he doesn't get excited about nothing. So, like, they would get hype in the hallway, getting ready to go out. They would try to give him high fives. He'd be like, man, turn around. Let's go. They win a game. He'd be like, let's go. Like, that's the crazy stuff you need, man. Like, you need to have that kind of mentality. Cat is finally happy he likes one of his teammates on the T-Wolves. Exactly. Yeah, T-Wolves aren't going to make it to the finals ever with Karl Anthony Towns. But once again, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't have a dog in him. That's the difference. It's super talented, great big man. Doesn't have it in him. So, guys, listen, let's get ready to wrap this up. I'm an hour and 15 in. I just want to go over this schedule real quick for us, so that we're all on the same page. So, Lakers are now 39-12. Once again, I said we're 3.5 games above the Clippers in the Western Conference. But our schedule right now, we should be at 40 wins on this next game. We have a semi-easy schedule with Phoenix coming up at home. That should be a win. Even with Devin Booker, that should be a win. Denver on the road is a possible yes, possible no. We don't know what's going to happen with that. But then at home against Memphis, we should win that game. At home against Boston, after what happened to us, this is what should happen. We should do the same thing to them on our floor. We should not lose that game. At home against New Orleans, that should be a win. On the road again at Golden State, that should be a win. On the road again in New Orleans, that should be a win. And then we're back home against Philadelphia and the Bucks and the Clippers. So once we hit March and the buyout market is over, that three stretch, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and the Clippers back-to-back, and then I guess you could count Brooklyn in that. Houston, Denver, that's where it starts getting hard. So we need to maximize these moments, man. We need to beat the Memphis. We need to beat the Phoenix. We need to beat the Pelicans. Beat these guys, man. We got to beat them. So we'll see what happens. I truly believe we're going to make it happen, guys. You guys are the greatest fan base on God's green earth. There is no other clan I'd rather rock with than the Laker family. And even out here in Houston, I proudly wear the purple and gold. And so, we're going to have the next game coming up. I didn't even see the next game on Monday. And so I hope to see everybody there. On the post-game report, if you are not following Showtime Forum on Twitter, please do so. Also follow us on YouTube as well as Instagram. We have so many things exciting coming up, and we're excited about it. And here's a little announcement I'm making. I'm going to Summer League this year. We just made the official plans here in my family. I'm still trying to work it out with Showtime how we're going to do that. But I'm going to be in Las Vegas for Summer League. So I'm really hoping we're going into Summer League as NBA champions 2020. And then we can really have some great post-game because I'll be able to be in the building talking to you guys from there. So with all that being said, have a wonderful weekend. You guys be safe tomorrow. Be safe tonight. If you guys are out there in LA doing your thing on some kind of downtown LA bar crawl. But be safe tonight. And remember, Mamba out, but not forgotten.